like that's why really, truly great chefs are such miserable people because they're so angry all the time. And people think they're angry at the guy they're yelling at.
Welcome back to Behind the Screens. I'm Kate Schlientz, your host and contributing food editor for Westchester Magazine. We are gearing up for this year's very exciting Westchester Magazine's Wine and Food Festival, running June 9th through the 14th all over Westchester County. And today we have Chef Michael Psilakis of MP Taverna and Klima coming soon, who will be doing a chef demo at the Grand Tasting Village Saturday, June 13th at the Kensico Dam Plaza. Chef Michael Psilakis.
Look at this. We're here.
Look at us.
In this room.
How's it going?
It's going good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Everything good with you?
Couldn't be better.
I'm so excited that you're going to be at this year's Wine and Food Festival.
Me too. It's always a good time.
Do we know what we're cooking up for the chef demo yet?
Those are the tough questions, man. Those are the tough questions. I keep getting emails from the poor woman that's the organizer. I promise this weekend I'll have something finished for everybody, but it's going to be exciting no matter what we do.
Always.
It is. I love doing this one. It's a fun event.
Do you like being up on stage?
I love cooking, and I love showing people how to cook, and I like getting into people's sort of psyche about food. And, you go to these events and it's all foodies, so they're my family.
Yeah. And speaking of family, I want to talk to you a little bit about your start with food, which I feel like is very much rooted in family.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what kind of got you excited at the get-go?
Food was something that sort of was the center of, our universe growing up, an immigrant family. We really didn't do much vacationing or really even going out to dinner, but we had people in our house. It was like Grand Central Station, and my mother was, and still is, a phenomenal cook. We did a lot of hunting and fishing and gardening, and sort of there was like a separation of like job descriptions. Men did certain things and women did certain things, and my mom was always in the kitchen cooking, but my dad and I would always bring whatever we kind of caught or killed or gardened, whatever. And, that was sort of the man's work, and we would be outside, spit roasting whole animals, or cleaning fish and getting them ready to throw on the barbecue and making sausages. And so, I just grew up with this identity of food being a really central part of my life, and also it became a very focal and important part of my life with my father. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's like the way we sort of communicated. He wasn't a man of many words, He was an old school guy, man, really stern. And, he felt that, he was trying to make me the man that he wanted me to be.
Yeah.
I hope that he was successful in doing that. But, he used food as a mechanism to teach. It's kind of interesting, and I didn't really know it at the time. But when he passed away, and I was mourning, I had this sadness, and that sadness really sort of pulled me away from the restaurant and the kitchen for the first time in my life. And I had all these thoughts, and I started writing them down on some paper. And as I was reading them to myself, it just was crazy to me that food was always the center part, because all of these memories that I had with him were revolving around food. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote a cookbook. I wrote a cookbook for him. It was my first cookbook. I have a couple out there, but the first one was an important one for me because it wasn't about recipes so much. It was about the relationship of food and what food means to my family, to him, to my relationship with him. So there's a lot of prose. Mm-hmm. It won a lot of awards, that cookbook. It was a cool book because it was every chapter was prefaced by a short story, and the short story was about things that we did together. Things started to make a lot of sense to me, even as a young child, when it came to food and how my mother reacted to food. She was that woman who, and if you guys come from that type of family where the women are always in the kitchen cooking, they didn't cook to eat. They didn't care about themselves. They just wanted their families to be together. They cooked for the gathering of their loved ones, and they were the last person to sit down. They always sat close to the kitchen so they could get up and get more if need be. And the food for them was a gift. It was like they were giving love. through the food, you know? And I remember as a young chef, because I wasn't trained, I didn't go to school, I never cooked in anybody else's kitchen. As a young chef, I grabbed this cookbook from this guy called Andre Saltner. He was a pretty big chef, French chef. He had a restaurant called Lutèce in the city. And in the preface of the cookbook, he said, all true chefs are gift givers by nature.
Ooh.
You know, and I said, I'm like, yeah, that totally makes sense. Because, like, you know, anybody who loves to cook, man, it's when do you really care about cooking just for you, you know? There's not really a lot of fun in that, you know? The fun is cooking and giving it to somebody. That gift, you know? That's all it takes to be a great chef. If you have that, like, that need to give, you know, where you question it on a philosophical level, like, is giving a selfish act because I get so much joy from this giving? Then you can be a chef, man. That's all it is. Everything else, you know, you can kind of figure it out. It's not that hard.
Do you feel after all these years and multiple restaurants, a number of accolades, multiple cookbooks, as you mentioned, you've been on TV. Are you still feeling that feeling? Are you still feeling that gift giving when you're stepping into the kitchen or when you're creating new concepts?
I mean, it's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, but it's also beyond that. It's the thing that gives me the most amount of peace. You know, some people go out there and play golf or draw or talk in a microphone or take a picture of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it's food. So, like, it's kind of an addiction in the sense. It could be selfish. I have to sort of kind of remind myself that I need to be present for my family, and I need to, you know, there are other people in my life that are important because I can get lost in it. And I did for probably 2 decades. You know, I just really didn't care about anything, you know, but food. Like, I woke up thinking about it, and, you know, I really wanted to do things with food that nobody ever done before. And, I don't know, it's hard to explain to the average guy where it's like you're doing something on a level where you're trying to be not just good or great, but the best. And, like, the best is it's a complicated thing because it requires you to sort of reach constantly for perfection, which obviously is impossible. And so you're always angry at yourself for failing, which is a complicated thing to think about, you know? Like, that's why really, truly great chefs are such miserable people because they're so angry all the time. And people think they're angry at the guy they're yelling at, you know? I mean, you can't really do that stuff anymore. There's a lot of laws against it. But years ago, you know, the kitchen was a violent place, and you know, you either drank the Kool-Aid or you had to get out. And, you know, like, that was part of the hazing, you know, like you were either going to do it and you were going to join the team, or you're going to look at us and be like, you guys are crazy and I'm not going to be part of this. And, you know, the people that joined, they became family, you know, and that was it.
Now, you've often spoken as that your mother was your greatest culinary teacher, right? You have a lot of influence coming from mom. When you're developing new dishes, is there like a mom test? Is there something that you think about specifically with her that, you know, bridges that gap between like idea, concept to actually making it on the menu?
You know, I think early on in my career, there was definitely a mom test because I was cooking, you know, like very different food than I'm cooking right now. I mean, it's different when you're cooking Michelin star food, or you're cooking food that is sort of the catalyst to bringing people together, you know? So my mother was cooking food that was, you know, about bringing people together. I think the restaurants today are really looking for that. Food has really become an amenity for like these popular restaurants, I think, that are, you know, creating a social environment for people to come and, you know, have a good time. And I think food is an amenity in that, having a good time. Michelin restaurants are restaurants of real critical, like serious attention where like the chef can honestly say, if you're going to eat that dish, you can only eat it here in the whole world. There's nowhere else. So you can cook a good chicken parmesan, but you can make a chicken parm anywhere. But there are a lot of guys out there right now, and I'm not one of them anymore, because it takes all of you, man. It takes all of you. It's so crazy. There's nothing left for anybody else, and so it's a great place, but you're an addict. And just like any other addiction, everybody else in your life, all the people that love you and support you and care about you, they kind of suffer, you know. And, it's a great place to be. I kind of did that for a long, long time. And it wasn't until my father passed away that I realized that, I was caught up in it and that it was not good for what I wanted to be as a father and as a husband. And, so I said, no more. I'm not doing it anymore. And, now the food that I'm cooking now, I think, is sort of a hybrid. Like, do I want to create something that is, unique? Yes. But I also don't want it to be food that you have to really think about, There's an articulation of food in a way that the guy who is critically looking at it, it's not just a palate-driven experience, It's a very, I read a lot of William Blake when I was younger. It's like that really intense, introspective process of using all of your senses to really experience something. And, it's pretty easy when you think about food to say that touch and smell and obviously taste are senses that you're going to use. But then when you start thinking about using, the way you hear things and the way that your mind interprets them, and that's part of a dish that's being created, that's that kind of next level cooking and next level eating too. And not everybody really is, looking at that type of experience as something that is what they want to really do when they go out to dinner. You know what I mean? And the guys that are doing that, man, it's like, I so appreciate them because they're sacrificing a lot, and they need to do this thing, and they can't stop themselves from doing it. And I know how exciting that is. I know how just it's intoxicating on so many different levels. And then when people are telling you, like you're winning awards, like critical awards, and all of a sudden you're being shipped around the world to cook and to, experience things that you never even thought were possible. And you're getting pulled in all these different directions. You just keep getting sucked in deeper and deeper, And that's why a lot of them, are sort of lonely, and they have their food, and sometimes that's enough. But sometimes it's not, and sometimes there's growth and you change. So for me now, it's more about creating things that I find to be exciting. I used to say, in the early part of my career, because I was cooking food that was like modern Greek was a difficult way to describe it because it didn't really resemble anything that my mother made, And so there was a big mother test at that time. Okay, if my mother ate this, would she think that it's Greek food, because it didn't look like it, And so, I remember the first time she came to Anthos, which, ended up getting a Michelin star, she sat down and I gave her a soup as a first course. And the soup was sort of inspired by a really simple dish she used to make of fried cod. And so she would fry some cod and then make this sauce called scordaglià, which is a garlicky potato sauce. And you kind of dip the fried cod in there and eat it. And it's one of my favorites. And so, I made this soup, which is called scordaglià, bacalharos and scordaglià, or cod and fried cod and or salt cod, more probably is a better way of looking at it. And potatoes. It was potato soup with little fried nuggets of salted cod, and then flaked cod, and it was all a million different things, and beef tartare, and it was in this beautiful bowl that was, like $100, and we put all this stuff in this bowl, and it just looked like a painting, and somebody came and poured the hot soup, and then guests were instructed to swirl it around and then eat. So there's a lot of direction, even, you know what I'm saying, before you even got a chance to eat it. And she's looking at it like, how is this Greek food, And so she ate it. And I was like, so what do you think? And she goes, it tastes a lot like bacalharos en Suadalya. And I was like, well, there you go. Good. We did it. Yeah. But, those are fun. Those are fun things to do, Mm-hmm. I have so many friends that are really, they love cooking, like big time hobby, and really good home cooks. And, they'll do something and take a picture of it and send it over to me. And, it's just exciting to me to see how many people are interested in food, because after 35 years ago, people really didn't know much about food here in the United States, man. I mean, for real, but young guys like these guys now, it's like, they know it,
Mm-hmm.
They understand it. And, they take pictures of it and they talk about it, and they're
Mm-hmm.
cooking at home, and they get excited. And TV and you guys, media, and, those really, I think, developed a baseline of knowledge today that is like exponentially greater than it was years ago. And so now the young guys can come out there and really sort of push the envelope. And I think that, things that are like commonplace today were pretty kind of, like out there 20 years ago, even, definitely 30 years ago,
And how long has MP Taverna been open in Irvington?
16 years
16
now,
years.
yeah.
And so in that time period, I know we're talking a little bit about how, diners' behaviors
Mm-hmm.
and their knowledge base has kind of opened up a little bit. What other changes have you seen in Westchester?
Well,
in
Westchester's
the county?
blowing up, man. I mean, like, I love it up here. I think this is sort of like the promised land. And I'll tell you, Irvington is Mayberry. I mean, that town is special. I can't say enough good things about it. It's a joy being there. I mean, the people there, I don't know anywhere else like it, honestly. Like, there are people that are billionaires that live there that are so understated. You would never know who they are, and they're like the leading people in their profession. And to be able to be that humble with all of that success is amazing to me.
Mm-hmm.
But they're drinking at the bar at MP Taverna and buying Coors Light for a guy that lives on top of a deli who's a townie that's been there for generations, and somehow they coexist, and it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know anywhere else like that, man. It's really, really amazing. But the influx, I would say, I'm sure everybody in Westchester is seeing the influx, especially during COVID and post-COVID, from people that were living in Brooklyn or Manhattan. Like, it's crazy. It's like a migration. And those people, I think, are looking for food stuff. If we're just thinking about food, that is going to be equal to what they're doing in Manhattan. And I think that's what the restaurants now in Westchester are giving them. Like, I go out to these restaurants and I'm like, oh, this is, when I always tell my boys, like, if I say something is good, then that means it's like, because it's a two tests for me. It either is not good or good,
Yeah.
I'm trying not to curse
Pass or
here because
fail.
I have a lot of bad words come out of my mouth every once in a while. I don't know if that's legal on this station, but like, if I say something is good, it means, like, in the kitchen, like, this is good means like, yeah, this is really, really good. Like, I can't even say great or excellent or whatever. To me, it's good.
Yeah.
That means yes. If it's not good, then it's, bad.
I like it. I like it. Do you get to go out often in Westchester? Are you out and
I try
about?
my best, to check out the stuff up here. I live on Long Island, so it's a little tough. And, I made a lot of friends, especially at MP Taverna, who I really have a lot of respect for. And so, like, I try to go out with those guys, and check out the new spots. And, there's so many good restaurants up here now. There really are. I think that when I first came up here, there was a handful of places that I just went to see. Like, I had no idea what Westchester was, and they were good restaurants. But I think in 15 years, the amount of, again, good is a really high praise for me. The amount of good restaurants has really grown significantly. And I think more are on the way. A lot of young guys out there, looking at Westchester as a vehicle for them to launch their careers. And I think that that's great. There's a lot of guys from the city that are coming up here all of a sudden, and opening up restaurants. And I think it's so different in the suburbs. Like, Manhattan is a different animal, man. And I don't want to say it's a young man's game, but, like, you have to be into that that super competitive nature that you have to have, like, you have to win.
Yeah.
For me, you have to kill me not to win. You know what I mean? There's no fight that ends without it winning or losing. And so, like, if I'm breathing, I'm coming at you, That's just how I'm built. And, like, the suburbs, I don't know if they have that sort of intensity. And I think that is sort of the new way of what a kitchen is kind of like, because in the old days, a kitchen was like I said earlier, a violent place. We would. I mean, I would tell the guys in the kitchen, like, I'm going to pick up vegetables, and I'm going to be there at 4:30 in the morning, and, like, you guys can come. It's not like I'm paying you. You want to come, and you can come.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick up fish. I'm going to pick up meat. Like, you want to be there, you can come, and you can be there. And the whole brigade would go out, and everybody came, and, like, following me around, and then we'd go back to the kitchen, and none of it wasn't about, like, clocking in or clocking out. They just wanted to cook, and they wanted to learn, and they wanted to be part of something. And a lot of cooks in those days were sort of kind of not really fitting into any sort of normal, if you want to call it that, society. Today, like, a lot of these guys are, college educated. They're smart kids. They're, articulate. They perceive a reality in a very different way. Often in those days, like, I'm one of them, was just like a bunch of guys who were dirtbags in the kitchen. We would drink a lot, work a lot, drink a little bit more, and cook some really good food, you know? And that was, 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good times.
Well, I know you mentioned, new restaurants coming.
Yeah.
And you yourself, after what, is it been a decade?
Long time, yeah.
Since you've opened?
Yeah.
What? So you have a new one on the way?
I do, yeah. I'm excited about this one. It's an enlarged one on the other side of Westchester.
Tell me about the name.
So Klima, Klema, is sort of like a branch. It was another. It's kind of a little bit of a homage to Dad as well. Like, it was interesting. Like, he used to say, like, if I wasn't behaving, it would be like, I'm gonna grab that branch and I'm gonna be doing something with it. But it also, slang wise, on the street in Greece right now, it kind of means, like, the cool happening spot, like, it's trending. You know what I mean? So I think that Klima's goal, if it all works, again, is to have food as part of a whole picture. It's a piece of a puzzle. You've seen the space; it looks
beautiful.
Really beautiful. My wife really is so good at that stuff, and so she built a really beautiful space, and it's got really cool modern energy, I think, and I want it to be a fun place where you're going to gather and it becomes sort of like the cheers. If you're part of MP Taverna or MP Taverna, that's what its soul is, really cheers, like everybody knows everybody there. Like the servers are hugging guests and the busboys are hugging guests. It's crazy over there. And I really, it's so nice to have that intimacy, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like so different than the guy who's so fixated on cooking food that you can only get in that restaurant, because he doesn't really, honestly, like, it's not that he doesn't care about the guest, but he doesn't want the guest to really go beyond the food, right? So, like, why talk to the guy across from you? Why have fun, right? Just eat the food and tell me what you think. And that's the only reason why you should be here. Klima's not that. MP Taverna's not that.
No.
I just, I hope that the community embraces it in the same way that Irvington embraced MP Taverna, and that we have that same sort of jovial kind of existence with the community, you know what I mean?
I think they will, because that's kind of like your magic.
Yeah, that's kind of my MO right now.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think that it's so much rooted in, your family and the connection with both your mother and your father and food. I think, sometimes you can step into a restaurant these days and it feels a little one-sided. You're getting the dish and you're experiencing the dish and there's not really a conversation going on. With you, I always feel like there's a conversation. I always feel like there's a little bit of fun going in. Some type of
story going on.
Yes, yeah. There's some storytelling, but it's also like you're really not looking just to serve somebody. You're looking for a little bit of interaction.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I've been like reviewed and everything, and really good buddy of mine who was an adjunct writer for the New York Times for many years, food writer, and then he became food writer for Esquire magazine, and he lived in Irvington for a bit. And
I think I know who you're talking about.
He's a good guy. And he would come down to the restaurant and sit at the bar and just by himself and eat, and we would talk a lot, and I would say to him, here's a piece of steak, and let's squeeze some lemon juice on it and see what happens, and all of a sudden, like, the conversation turned into a dialogue about acidity and what acidity does for food, and what salt does, and there was an interaction that was happening and a learning. And it was so fun to talk to him about food because he was so knowledgeable about food. And he has obviously been throughout the world. He's eaten it everywhere. I mean, he's a great writer and a brilliant guy. But like, it doesn't just have to be somebody of that level where you can create that type of intimacy. And I think that, good restaurants today have the ability to sort of connect with the people that are coming in a way where they feel at home. And if you can do that, then, you're not going to have to worry about anything.
Well, you're the best. I can't wait to see the conversation that happens this year at the grand tasting event at the chef demo.
It's going to be a great time. We're going to have fun, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be there. Hopefully it doesn't rain. Last year it rained.
I know.
It's boo when it rains, but still a lot of people showed up, and it was a lot. It was a lot of fun. And the lineup you guys have is pretty intense too. So like a lot of learning, they're all characters too. Yeah. So I think that's going to be interesting to see what they have to say on stage. You never know what's going to come out of their mouths.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting perspectives for sure, I think, this year.
Yeah, they all have, all of us have a very unique sort of lens that we look through in terms of the food styles that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if you're a foodie, man, and you like cooking and you want to learn something, it's the place to be. There's going to be a lot of learning, I think, there. I mean, gift giving, cooking a dish is a means of giving something, but sharing as a cook, as a chef, whatever you want to call it, sharing information is that same sort of thing, you know. It's kind of like giving a gift, you know. And when you go to these events and you have these people who are really just sitting up in the chair and they're paying attention, you know, those are great things, man. Like, you know, it's like young cooks. They just, you know, they're so excited. You know, one of my son's old friends, my son is 19 now, he's going to be 20, so his buddy just finished college and wrote me this long letter, and he was like, you know, I think I want to go to culinary school, and, you know, like, you inspired me. I've known them since they were really like kids, and it's like, can I come to the restaurant and work over the summer? And, you know, like how can you say no? You know what I mean? It's like, it's a passing of knowledge. And that passing of knowledge to me is, it's so important.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Well, Chef Michael Psilakis, you are awesome.
Oh, that's nice of you to say.
Cannot wait.
Best, I'm not sure. Let's not get crazy.
Cannot wait to see you at the chef demo at the Grand Tasting Village, but also cannot wait to see you at Klima and see what you've got up your sleeve.
I'm super excited. It's going to be great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
A big thank you to Chef Michael Psilakis of joining us today. We cannot wait to see what he's got whipped up for Klima, and of course at the chef demo at the Grand Tasting Village, Saturday, June 13th at the Kensico Dam Plaza. That's it for today's episode. Make sure to check out Behind the Screens on your favorite podcast platforms.